Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you're well. And I just wanted to catch up with you a little bit and let you know where I'm at. So today is the day before radiotherapy, 5-day course, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Monday for hormone breast cancer. So I woke up last night and I have been doing a lot of thinking. I've been very bad the last few days, just terrible kind of fear coming up around the radiotherapy. And it's just that fear when you're told that you can, so how do I explain this? So my cancer was found very early. In fact, I pushed so hard for them to check the lump. And it wasn't even that I wanted them to check the lump. I just was in a state of constant anxiety around just not feeling well, not knowing why I didn't feel well. And I was basically having a breakdown, and that was a mental thing, really. And it could have been all hormonal. It's definitely around leaving my mum, my cat's death, just leaving Ireland. My story is basically I had, in my opinion, an amazing life in Ireland. I had a great life. I had a great home with my mum. I loved living with my mother. And so I had a great life, and I decided to move to Scotland. And everything just happened, as in, my anxiety levels went up. I was really like a fish out of water, And Scotland is so like Ireland. And the people are so like the Irish people, and the countryside, and the energetically, it's a very calm, peaceful place. And yet there's something quite different. And there's something, I can't describe it. It's like, I really can't put my finger on it. But it made me feel very kind of wobbly when I was here. Like nothing felt stable. There was nothing solid. And then I was out in the middle of nowhere, and then the job just fell through, and it just was such, a turbulent time in my life. And I've gone through so much in my life, and I will go through my memories again, but, as in I will add more memories. I just, at the moment, I don't know if I'm coming or going, basically. So, it was just a very turbulent time, but it was continual. Like it was just continual turbulence, continual stress, continual fear, and I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going. And I have a calmness about me, and I manage, and I pray, and I trust, and I go for my walks with my dog, and I focus, really my focus is always on other people. So my focus at home is always my mum. She was my focus. She was my absolute, reason for being. She was my purpose. And then when I came here, I suppose I had my 3 animals, and that was my focus and purpose, to make them as comfortable as possible, to find an accommodation where they would be safe, where I could let the cats out. It worked out that poor Weston didn't make it after a few months, and that's, again, I was crying over him earlier. Poor Abby, her dog, it's very upsetting. Her dog Toby died this morning. he died in the vet's, heart failure, and it's just so sad. That's her second dog in the last few months, who has unfortunately passed away. And that brings up also stuff for me, you know, around the fear of my dog dying. It makes me sad, and it makes me think about my mom and all of that. It just makes me wobbly again, you know. I loved her dog Toby, as I did. I loved Poppy as well, and I love her two other dogs. She's two other dogs. She's got Phil and Teddy, and they're absolutely adorable, and I love them too. So you know, so today anyway, I woke up and I was seeing this woman. Thank God, you know, Macmillan Cancer Support are so good, and they set me up with this lady, a chaplain. So I saw her last Monday at 11 o'clock, and then I saw her today at 11. So when I went in to see her, I was a bit all over the place, and I said to her, I'm just not feeling great. I have this kind of like whooshing feeling in my body of like, it's like high blood pressure or low blood pressure, and I feel kind of, it's like a huge big panic attack, but it makes me feel kind of dizzy and weak, and I don't know if it's dehydration. I don't know if it is high or low blood pressure. My blood pressure has been a bit wonky since in the last few months as well. Like nothing to worry about, but you know, maybe when I get worried, I don't know, to be honest. Anyway, I'll be seeing the doctor in the morning first thing, so that appointment was made about, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago. So last night I was in bed, and I just, you know, I've been looking really into radiotherapy. I've been looking into all of that, and then I let it go, and I was fine. And I was like, okay. And then a lovely neighbour, I said this, she brought information, and it was lovely. She got me information. She brought me beautiful flowers and a beautiful card. And people are just so kind, so kind. And I was looking through the booklet, and again, that thing of long-term effects. And, you know, and then I decided, you know, I would look up again. And when I say I Google, people immediately say, sorry, I'm going into my phone here, my phone. But people sometimes say to me, you shouldn't be Googling. But like doctors Google, you know, and when I Google, I go on to medical sites. I'm not just Googling, and I'm not fear-mongering myself. I'm not. So I just wanted to say, right, so I really, the heart thing is bothering me because it's left breast at the back, at the wall. So basically the radiotherapy has to come in this way and all the rest. And I was told, my oncologist, thanks be to God, was so upfront and so clear and so honest, and she explained that, you know, it would hit the heart and it would hit the lung, and it would hit the heart minimally because you breathe, you take in a breath, you hold your breath. There's a name for it. It's like you're holding your breath, and it pulls the heart away, so minimal. So like there would be a lot of heart there, but you're pulling it back, so it's not as much. But, you know, and then you've got the lung. And just say my lung is that size, it was going to like hit that much of the lung, which is like, so it wasn't half the lung, but it was kind of, and it wasn't, it was a little bit more than a quarter of the lung, and that can cause fibrosis. And that's kind of like, so what I thought to myself was, okay, so I had cancer. It was removed from my body. They checked around and, you know, the margins, and there was no cancer in the margins, but they couldn't get to the very back because it was pushed against the wall. That lump was kind of pushed against the wall, or that area, right? So they couldn't get the bit against the wall. So they're not 100% sure if there was cancer there or not. Likely not, in my opinion, right? And then it didn't go to the lymph nodes. and it was quite small, and it was grade 1, and it was, detected early. So they put me on immediately, which I don't even think I'm taking properly, tamoxifen, which is to block the estrogen going into the breasts. And that's fine, but I'm only getting used to it. I've been on that for now, I'm going to say, I'd say 3 months I'm on that. I had to come off it for the operation. I'm back on it, right? But what I want to say there is, like, I've been drinking herbal teas, or I've been taking ginger or turmeric or certain things that actually stop it working. And then I was put on to an antidepressant / anxiety. I was for anxiety when all this kind of blew up. And I realized that tablet was the number one tablet you don't take with tamoxifen. And it was me that discovered this, reading, of course, the leaflet that came in the box and reading it absolutely from one side to the other. I'm very clear and very thorough when it comes to stuff like this. So I went to my pharmacist. Well, actually, I tried to ring my GP and I couldn't get through. I said it to the receptionist and they were like, you'll have to make an appointment, whatever. So I went to my local pharmacy and told them, and they were like, oh, okay. So then they contacted the hospital for me, and the hospital said, okay. Now, the hospital knew I was on this actual drug, but it's like the number one thing. It's called fluoxetine. It's the number one. You can look it up. Fluoxetine does not go with tamoxifen. It stops the enzymes that you need for it to work. So then they put me on another one, and of course I'm watching YouTube videos of doctors, actual breast cancer specialists, who they themselves got breast cancer, and they are doing informative videos, which are amazing. So I watched that, and then of course the next thing that I'm on comes up. So it mightn't be the number one, but it's number 2, and it's like, and that stops like 60 to 70% of the drug tamoxifen working. So I'm thinking, look, I'm not taking this if it's not working. You either take it and you really do it properly, or you don't take it. So I thought, okay, so that is the next one to taper off, right? And then today, forgot it, and I meant to take it every morning. So I take it in the morning when I get up, so around 8 o'clock, could be 9, because I try and take it with food. If I don't, I feel very sick. It makes you feel really sick. And so I'm trying, I'm learning how to do all this, take it, with the best effects and stuff like that. I also bless it and pray over the tablet in the morning, because it's like people pray before they eat. They bless the food. Well, I bless the tablet. I don't. I ask God to bless the tablet for me, and the angels, and whoever wants to bless it. I put it out to the universe, and I pray that, I just, take it that way. And that makes me feel better, whether it works or not. I'm not saying it does or it doesn't, but it makes me feel better. And then I take that. But today I forgot. So then I had to go for my appointment at 11. That was over 12, got back at 12:30. And then my head was mashed about, my radiotherapy. So I rang the hospital and I asked, could I speak to the oncologist? Now, they didn't really know the oncologist because she's new. But anyway, I eventually got through to somebody who said they would email her. And this is why, this was the last thing. This is in the middle of the night, last night. I don't sleep, by the way. And I don't think it's because I can't sleep. I think it's hot flushes. So I've all the windows open and I do fall asleep, and then I wake up, and I don't know why I wake up, but I'm actually then sweating. And I'm beginning to, I always said, I don't get, what everyone else gets. I'm beginning to now have, like, my body's moist now, you know what I mean? So I'm getting hot sweats. So basically, and then I'm awake, and then I look at a bit of YouTube, and then I fall back asleep, and then I'm awake. So anyway, I don't really sleep that well. But I just wanted to say this, right? This is, and then I was thinking about doing this video, and I was saying, how do I explain this to people? How do I, and, I realized that I'm actually afraid of being judged for this. I'll just show you, right? So it says, does radiotherapy affect your lungs? Now, I know it does, but this is what I Googled. Yes, radiotherapy can potentially damage the lungs, though this is often minimized through careful treatment planning. Radiation therapy to the chest area can cause inflammation and scarring of the lung tissue, potentially leading to breathing difficulties. And I have a fear of that. So you can get, radiotherapy can cause inflammation of the lungs, known as radiation pneumonitis, right? Which typically occurs within a few months after treatment. And that's the other thing. Radiotherapy, you don't get the effects immediately. It could be months later or years later. So I'm actually really dehydrated and thirsty and hot. I was going to drink something before, and that's why I'm a little bit... So symptoms of that is the inflammation can lead to symptoms like breathlessness, a dry cough, and chest pain. Long-term effects, in some cases, the inflammation can lead to lung scarring or fibrosis, which can cause permanent shortness of breath and a chronic cough. Now, this is, if you're getting radiotherapy on certain spots on the breasts or whatever. But this is kind of like my oncologist explained, in my case, it's going to touch this amount, she drew a diagram, this amount of your lung, and it will touch this amount of your heart. So, I know it's going to actually, I'm doing radiotherapy on my lung basically, right? And on my heart. So, the risk of lung damage can be higher if the patient already has pre-existing lung conditions like COPD or asthma. And then they say there's techniques and treatment planning designed to minimize the dose of radiation to the lungs and all of that. So it's basically saying it scars the lungs that may affect blood vessels, and that can lead to it's hardening. It's fibrosis. You get fibrosis as well, or you can of the shoulder. And that's why it's really important to keep doing your exercises. It can actually harden your muscles and your tissues in that area. And that's why they say the breast can become quite hard and the skin. So it basically hardens and thickens tissue, which can be your lung, it can be your heart, it can be your arteries, it can be veins, it can be, anything that's in there and in that area. So, So I called my oncologist, and then the heart, does radiotherapy affect the heart? So in my case, it would be a small part of the heart. Yes, radiotherapy can affect the heart, particularly when the treatment area includes the chest. While modern techniques minimize heart exposure, some individuals may still experience long-term heart problems. The risk depends on the radiation dose, the area of the heart exposed, and the individual's health. Radiation can damage the heart muscle, heart valves, and blood vessels, increasing the risk of conditions like coronary artery disease, heart failure, and valvular disease. Inflammation of the pericardium, the sac surrounding the heart, can occur, potentially leading to, I don't know how to say this, but I know it's a very popular thing at the moment, pericarditis or constrictive, and it can disrupt the heart's electrical system, causing abnormal heart rhythms. And so it can damage the blood vessels, hardening of the arteries, raising risk of heart attacks. And it says radiotherapy for cancers in the chest, such as breast cancer or lung cancer, carries a higher risk for heart damage. and younger individuals may be more susceptible to long-term heart effects. And then it just says, long-term monitoring, regular follow-up cardiologist, whatever, okay. So, and this can happen. So my oncologist said to me, look, you probably will be breathless, have breathing issues immediately after treatment and over the next few weeks or few months. But she said it's important to know that in a few years, if you get something, you need to tell them you've had radiotherapy with your heart, or you would. And then she said, is there any heart or lung in your family, problems? And yes, my mum's family is all heart. And then my dad and my two granddads died of lung cancer, and I smoked for years. I've had pneumonia a few times. I had pneumonia at 6 weeks of age. I was in hospital for a few weeks. I got pneumonia when my dad died from shock. I got pneumonia. I got asthma, short-term asthma for some reason, when my brother died. Sorry, my hair. And so I have a fear, and a couple of years ago, I was, I'd go off cigarettes on them, off them, on them. And I went back on them a couple of years ago, and I kept saying, I'll go off them in a month. It took me one full year to go off them, a full year. And I actually couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. It was like somebody had put a plastic bag over my lungs. And I was very frightened. And I worked in I worked with doctors, and I worked with lung specialists, and they said, you've COPD. Now, they didn't check me. They were kind of my friends. I had lunch with them and stuff. And they were saying, they were consultants, and they were saying, you've definitely COPD. I said, I do not. So I did all my own little thing of I got a cough bottle. I went to my doctor, and instead of antibiotics, she gave me, those anti-inflammatory things. What are they called? Steroids and all of this. And I was okay, and they were saying, oh, maybe you don't have COPD. So I just have this thing, that, all probably my own fault, a lot of it, but, I feel my lungs might be a little bit weak from damage I've done over the years. And my heart, my mum, and I often say, how on earth do I not have a heart problem with all the heartbreak I've had in my life? Literally, oh my God, the amount of heartbreak. And, I often wonder how I even still have a heart. It hasn't smashed into a gazillion pieces. But, so I'm very grateful that I'm okay, in that sense. And I thought, you know what? I'm going into this, going to potentially damage my heart and potentially damage my lung. And the chances of that are very high in my case. To get rid of cancer that's potentially left at the wall. And I thought, how do I balance this out, and how do I, the oncologist, she was lovely, she rang me back, and I just said to her, look, I really don't want to do the radiotherapy, and I need to talk to you about it, and I need to just weigh this up. Have you time? And she said, I do. And I said, look, the chances of me getting lung and heart, I said, if that happens, I won't be able to exercise. I won't be able to go walking the way I do. I won't be able to, do, I was saying, I don't know why, but aquafit and stay healthy and keep, slim and all of that. And she said, yes. And I said, and the chances of me having bits of cancer left in me is quite small. And even if I do, I felt now, I said to her, the chances of breast cancer coming back are very high. They're very high, whether people do radiotherapy or not. It's high, And she said, yes. She said the chance of that particular lump where you had the lump, of that coming back is very low. It's 10%. That's very low. And she said, and radiotherapy might bring it down to, no, wait, she said, I think she said with radiotherapy it goes down to 10%. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, it's quite low. So I just thought, what am I going to do? Am I going to do radiotherapy, which will get rid of any cancer cells in that area, literally in that area? Well, in the whole breast, to be honest, in that breast. Or am I going to protect my lung and my heart? And, you know, anyway, I've made the decision. I'm not doing radiotherapy. I got the blessing of the doctor in the sense that, I don't think she'd use the word blessing, but she said, look, sometimes I would say to a patient, you need to do this, or I don't advise you not doing it, whatever. And she said, but in your case, I really see your point. And she said, you've really thought about this and you are correct in everything you're saying. So she said, you know, the risks of damaging my heart and lungs outweigh the risks of me having cancer cell, outweigh the benefits. So the risks outweigh the benefits, if that makes sense. So I said, are you okay with this? You're the oncologist. Are you okay with this? I said, I really want you to be okay with this as well. And she said, you know, obviously it's your decision. She didn't, sway me in any way, but I just found her really good, because she was really, and yet all the nurses, everyone else was just like, no one damages their heart. You'll be fine. You breathe in and you'll be fine. The bit of lung, the bit of lung is minimal. It's only going to be an inch. It's going to be and it's not. It's quite big. When the oncologist drew the picture, I went, oh my God, that's a lot. That's a lot. And she went, well, it's a little less than half your lung. I was like, oh my God, so she was really, and I appreciate that and I need that. So, I'm not doing radiotherapy, but I want you all to know, because I have a fear now that people are going to judge me, but I'm on a 5-year tablet to stop the estrogen, within my breasts. So she said, with the operation and removing the lump and the estrogen, and, she said, and you don't smoke, and, so look, no cigarettes, no alcohol, no meat, no dairy, unless it's a weensy bit with a bit of cake or something, and she said, your weight is, so, I've so much going for me. The only thing is, I do eat a lot of sugar, and I'm struggling with that at the moment. Not struggling with it. It's just, I'm kind of in a slump around eating carbs and processed stuff a little bit. Now I'm doing my juicing, I'm doing my, my soups, and I am eating healthy, like as healthy as I can at the moment. I can now go back onto all of my vitamins and all of that stuff that I stopped. And hopefully, because I'm not doing radiotherapy, my, when I, get fit again, all my vitamins and minerals and all of that will go into my system, and I will feel better, and I'll be able to exercise and move more. So I just wanted to share that with you all. I've looked for videos where people say, I've refused radiotherapy, I haven't taken it. I see lots of videos on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, where people are going in for their chemo, or they're going in for radiotherapy, or they're going in for their operation, and they're so strong. They're really strong, and they're like ready, and it's like, I'm going in, wish me luck, and they're smiling, and I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't like that going into my operation. Mind you, I was very calm, and they were amazing. Oh, you could do an operation in there every day. They were so amazing, except one nurse. She was not very nice at all, but all of the other staff were amazing. And so that's it. Teddy wants to do a PP now, so I better let him do a PP. But I just wanted to let you know, I'm frightened out of my wits. I'm on my own trying to make this decision. I miss my mother. I miss my mother so much. My mother was my rock. My mother was my foundation. My mother made me who I am. She was my backbone. Teddy, I'll let you out now, honey. And so lucky I got to talk to the lady, the chaplain this morning, Rita, beautiful woman. She listened, and she's spiritual, so it was nice. You know, she was like, listen to your body, listen to yourself, you know, and really helped. And I was telling her what I do. Like, I put my problems into my hand. So if it's one person and another person, or just my problem, and I hand physically my problem like this into God's big hands, and I put it into God's hands, and I actually do that so there's none left, and I say, God, please take this. It's too big for me. I can't cope with it. It's too big for me. Please, God, help me. You do with it what you want, and it's always resolved. So always, everything's resolved. So I pray I've made the right decision. I'm going to do the best that I can to stay healthy and be healthy. I will continue this journey with you guys, you know, and I don't mean to be negative, but the chances of breast cancer coming back is kind of high, probable, whatever. But I'm in the system, so I'm checked all the time. So it will be early detection. And if it's early detection, it's another operation, you know, like it's another remove it. I'm not that worried that I'd go back and it's like gone right through me. I'm, you know, hopefully not. So I do think that this is the right decision. The oncologist was so kind. She said, I will contact Radiotherapy. Don't worry. I'll write to your breast surgeon, and I'll write to your GP. And Teddy, sorry, yeah, I'm just afraid he will do a PP. So anyway, please, if you do pray, keep me in your prayers, and thank you for bearing with me. It's 33 minutes long. If you have any opinions, or, you know, or if you've experience in this, please let me know. And the only thing I'd ask you is, and I shouldn't have to, because you've always been kind, just don't frighten me, please, and be kind. So anyway, thank you so much. I love you all, and I really appreciate you. You are helping me through this journey so much by watching me, by liking me, by commenting. I don't feel so alone. So thank you, everybody, and I will chat very soon.